she drugged her 15-year-old sister and handed her over to a predator as a birthday gift for her boyfriend. This isn't fiction. This isn't a movie. This is the horrifying true story of Karla Homolka, a sister, a lover, and a killer. Some cases haunt you. This one, you'll never forget. At first glance, they seemed like the perfect couple. Glamorous, photogenic, and utterly in love. A picture-perfect pair that could have been ripped straight from the pages of a glossy magazine. Paul Bernardo and Karla Homolka smiled for the cameras, attended parties, and charmed everyone around them. Their love story looked like a dream, until the cracks started to show. Behind those polished smiles and carefully crafted public images lurked a nightmare no one could have imagined. A darkness so deep, it shattered the lives of innocent victims and left an entire nation in shock. This is the chilling true story of the Ken and Barbie Killers.
Did you ever get caught? Did you ever get caught? No, never, never. Why? I'm a deadly innocent guy. I'm a solo creep. I make the girls weep, acting out my crimes while the others sleep.
This suspect is wanted for a series of assaults, 2 last May and 1 just last week.
Metro Police have a team of investigators working full-time on this case. They've interviewed and cleared over 1,000 possible suspects. They've even offered a $150,000 reward, but they still lack the key pieces to this puzzle.
Well, believe it or not, it's now been 3 decades since the disappearance and deaths of Leslie Mahaffey and Kristen French rocked not just the Golden Horseshoe, but really all of Canada. And while we know how the story ends for the teens and their killers, Paul Bernardo and Karla Homolka,
a couple whose twisted crimes exposed the terrifying truth that evil can hide behind the most beautiful masks. What you're about to hear will haunt you, because some stories are too horrifying to forget. Paul Bernardo didn't look like a monster. He had boyish charm, a confident smile, and the kind of politeness that made people trust him. But behind that mask was something darker, something twisted. Born in 1964, Paul grew up in a deeply broken home. His father was abusive, and his mother was emotionally distant. By the time he was a teenager, Paul had already developed an obsession with control, especially over women. In the late 1980s, Toronto faced a terrifying wave of sexual assaults. Women were being attacked near bus stops and walking paths. The press called him the Scarborough Rapist. The city was panicking, but Paul blended in so well, no one ever suspected him. Not his friends, not his co-workers, not even the police. Then came Karla Homolka, beautiful, intelligent, and just 17 when she met Paul at a convention in 1987. From the outside, she was every parent's dream daughter, a veterinary assistant with a bright future and a warm smile. But something shifted when they met. It wasn't just love, it was obsession. Karla became infatuated with Paul, even as he revealed his disturbing fantasies. Instead of pulling away, she leaned in. She wanted to please him, to keep him, at any cost. Together, they weren't just a couple. They became a storm, a dangerous fusion of charm, manipulation, and shared cruelty. It started as a love story, but it ended in blood. Not long after Paul and Karla's relationship began, the charming facade started to crack. Paul began revealing the darkest corners of his mind. Fantasies filled with domination, obsession over virginity, and a twisted desire for total control. For most people, such confessions would be terrifying, even repulsive. But Karla reacted differently. Instead of fear or rejection, she showed fascination, even encouragement. She didn't just accept Paul's disturbing urges, she embraced them. Together, they created a dangerous world where boundaries disappeared, and cruelty became their twisted form of intimacy. Their relationship wasn't a simple toxic romance. It was the fusion of two broken souls feeding off each other's darkness, the beginning of a deadly partnership that would terrorize an entire country. As they grew closer, their actions became more extreme, more violent, pushing the limits of human depravity. Their love wasn't built on trust or care, but on fear, manipulation, and the chilling need to dominate. This was no ordinary couple. It was the birth of a serial killer duo, united not by affection, but by shared madness and cruelty. December 1990. Most families were wrapping gifts, decorating trees, and preparing for warm, joyful gatherings. But inside the Homolka household, something unthinkable was brewing. Karla had decided to give Paul a Christmas gift unlike any other. Her own 15-year-old sister, Tammy. Paul had developed a disturbing obsession with Tammy's innocence. He wanted her, and Karla, unbelievably, agreed. On December 23rd, Karla crushed animal tranquilizers stolen from her workplace and mixed them into her sister's drink. Tammy soon lost consciousness. Then, Paul began raping her. Karla watched. She helped. They even videotaped it, but the drugs were too strong. Tammy began choking on her own vomit and died. Instead of calling for help immediately, they cleaned her, redressed her, staged the scene, and made it look like a tragic accident. Her death was ruled as misadventure. No one suspected the truth. Not then. Not yet. Tammy Homolka became their first victim, but she wouldn't be the last. 6 months after Tammy's death, Paul and Karla's bloodlust grew. The thrill of killing, of total domination, had taken hold. They wanted more. In June 1991, they spotted 14-year-old Leslie Mahaffey walking home late at night. Paul lured her into their car and brought her back to the house. For the next 24 hours, Paul and Karla raped, tortured, and videotaped Leslie. They fed off each other's cruelty, laughing and recording as they inflicted unimaginable pain. When they were done, they killed her, dismembered her body, and placed the pieces in cement blocks, later dumping them into a nearby lake. Less than a year later, they did it again. In April 1992, 15-year-old Kristen French was abducted in broad daylight while walking home from school. For 3 days, she was kept captive, repeatedly assaulted, and recorded. This time, Karla played an even more active role. She brushed Kristen's hair, spoke kindly, then participated in the abuse. On the third day, they killed her and dumped her body in a ditch. These weren't just murders. They were cold, calculated productions of torture and death, directed by two people who looked like your neighbors, but acted like monsters. By 1993, Paul Bernardo was already under suspicion in connection with a series of rapes from his past. Police collected a DNA sample, which would soon confirm what they feared. But before that confirmation came through, Karla had already begun to turn against him. She told police she was a victim too, that Paul had abused her, controlled her, forced her to participate, and she made a deal. In exchange for full testimony against Paul, she'd receive just 12 years in prison, a plea bargain that would later become infamous. But then, the videotapes were found. In those tapes, Karla wasn't a passive victim. She laughed during the assaults, directed scenes, participated willingly, but it was too late. The deal had already been made. The press would later call it A Deal with the Devil. In 1995, Paul Bernardo was convicted of multiple counts of first-degree murder, kidnapping, and rape. He was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole and was declared a dangerous offender, meaning he would likely never be released. But Karla walked free in 2005 after serving only 12 years. She changed her name, moved, married, has even had children. The public was outraged. Victims' families were devastated. How could someone so deeply involved in such evil get a second chance at life? To many, the justice system had failed. Not just once, but in the worst possible way. It's been over 3 decades since Paul and Karla's crimes, and yet this case still haunts us. Why? Because it breaks the rules we think protect us. Because it proves that evil doesn't always look like a monster in the shadows. Sometimes it smiles. It blends in. It calls you honey and tucks you in at night. Paul and Karla weren't outsiders. They were the couple next door. They had wedding photos. They volunteered. They had a dog. But behind that perfect image was pure horror. This story isn't just about murder. It's about deception, about betrayal, about how sometimes the most dangerous people are the ones you never suspect. True evil doesn't always come in the form of a monster. Sometimes it comes wrapped in love, beauty, and charm. Paul Bernardo and Karla Homolka were not just killers. They were proof that appearances lie, that evil can wear a friendly face and sleep beside you at night. Subscribe for more twisted true crime stories. Tell us in the comments, did Karla Homolka deserve a second chance at